Hello, this is the Irish Guy Extra. And look, I know I'm about to sound saltier than the bag of chips you find at the beach, but look, last night, the whole world was up in arms because Newcastle played Man City in a League Cup semi-final, and Antoine Semenyo had a goal wrongly chalked off for some mysterious offside. Because VAR decided to pause the game for about an hour to try and rifle through and try and nitpick some way to rule out this goal, right? I mean, I'll be honest, I was in the stadium, I was in the crowd, and I was confused why we were waiting, because, I mean, can you really be offside from a corner? But look, they ruled it out, and everyone lost their minds, okay? Not in the stadium, no, it's only when I, crawled on Twitter, I've seen that everyone is just reacting to this news as if they've just seen someone kick a puppy in the face, or, I don't know, rip the head off their grandma. No, I want to point to the real injustice of this match, and it's not that City had a goal robbed from them, because it doesn't matter. Rayan Cherki still scored at the death to basically make it 2-0, and let's be honest, kick Newcastle out of the cup, okay? This is a chance for the Magpies to retain their trophy. Winning the League Cup was magical, but imagine winning it twice in a row. To turn this competition into a couple of London buses, it would have been unbelievable. But no, that dream is done, because there's no chance Newcastle go to Man City at the Etihad and win 2-0. I mean, okay, I know they did it in this competition in 2014 when Rolando Aaron scored a goal. Now, I'm pretty sure he's working in Costa Coffee. But no, look, I mean, it's not going to happen. Newcastle's cup dream is gone. But the biggest injustice to me is the fact that Antoine Semenyo, not that he didn't score, but was allowed to play the match. I'm sorry, am I the only one who thinks this is just disgraceful? The fact that, look, I know, I absolutely made it look like I've got ice cream vanilla in my brain, because I said when he signed, I gave him an F signing, and said that the competition was so stacked in the Man City squad that he wouldn't even score 2 goals for the club. Literally scored 2 last night. The second one should have counted, just like Semenyo said into the camera on the pitch. But guess what, Antoine? You shouldn't have played, because I'm sorry, all of my life being cup tied, that's a legitimate rule in most competitions, right? You cannot represent 2 different clubs in the same tournament. It makes perfect sense, because it would just weird. It's like if you get kicked out of a competition, you are done. You have failed. You are out. You shouldn't be allowed to be kept on and then win the thing for another club. No. Semenyo had his chance at Bournemouth to win this cup, and he failed, okay? They got booted out of the competition. So that means that he should also be out. It shouldn't mean that he should jump ship in January and suddenly be in line to get a winner's medal next month. No. I think it's a joke, and I'll tell you why it's a particular joke. The fact that it's happened to Newcastle. I know, this makes me sound so salty, as if, there was loads of salt in that toilet paper that I ate the other day. And by the way, I knew I should have just bought like a new packet and not just use the 5 toilet rolls that have been in my bathroom for a year. Oh, there's going to be so much dirt on. I have a sore throat because of that. It's probably because those papers just soaked up so much bacteria in that bathroom. So right now, I'm full. This could be the ramblings of someone who's only got 3 hours left to live. I'm fully aware of that. I think there are like some squash fly wings on them as well. But look, enough about my depressing life. No, I think it's a joke. I think if a rule is there, and a legitimate rule that makes sense, why change it? And why change it only after Semenyo has signed for Man City? I mean, okay, fair enough, the rule was probably implemented last summer, but no one was told. No one knew about it. Eddie Howe admitted he said he didn't know about it until last week. But yes, Semenyo comes in a £65 million deal, and he plays at St James's Park, and he scores. And I'm going to tell you why it's particularly unfair in Newcastle. Lads, I was at a Wembley final 3 years ago, where because of this cup-tied rule, I was forced to watch my team pick Loris Karius in goal for a final. I'm pretty sure that was his first game since the Champions League final, which fully mentally scarred him for life. Oh, trust me, if there's any example out there of a football game really getting into someone's head, forget about that. Forget about Benzema getting into Karius' head. That fully melted his brain. I'm guessing he's been counting down the days until retirement since 2018. And we had to pick this absolute petrified sheep in goal as a third choice keeper for a cup final against Manchester United. And why? Despite having a perfectly fit and quality Martin Dubravka waiting in the wings. Oh no, couldn't play. Couldn't play because he'd played 1 League Cup match at Old Trafford for Man United on loan 6 months earlier. But Newcastle never called him because he's getting no game time at Man United. Not even really in the Champions League either or anything. So they brought him back and couldn't pick him. couldn't pick him. He had to sit in that dressing room. And you know what the weird thing is? He picked up a winner's medal for Man United that afternoon. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine that? The Newcastle players upset in the dressing room, and some Man United chief executive comes in and just hands Dubravka a winner's medal, which he probably sheepishly shoved in his bag. I'll be honest, if I was a Newcastle player in that dressing room, devastated like Sean Longstaff, I'd have fully thrown a sandwich off his head. Like, getting a winner's medal for... Yet we weren't allowed to pick him. Like, Dubravka had to wait in the wings and just awkwardly watch that game for 90 minutes in the crowd, hoping Newcastle would win. But let's be honest, he was secretly hoping Man United will win. Like, that's what the Cup Tide rule had reduced us to. The fact that Dubravka was not allowed to play for us. That would have cancelled all of the confliction. They're saying that it's, at least they were saying at the time, that it would be a confliction of interest, right? To have a player play for two clubs in the same competition, right? That's why Dubravka couldn't play. But I think it's more conflicting for a man's emotions when he's literally a Newcastle United employee, has come down with the team on the bus, is in the crowd watching as a fan, but secretly he's wanting the team to lose so he can get a winner's medal to show his grandkids one day. Oh, look, I won this for Man United. Don't ask to see any pictures from the match. You'll just see me sitting in a suit in the crowd in the Newcastle section. Like, that's... I'm sorry, but I'm almost traumatized by that Wembley final. Like, you can't understand my dread walking into that stadium and knowing it was Karius and net. Like, Karius' stock was so low back then that I remember it was a choice, an actual debate, whether to pick him or go further down the pecking order and pick Mark Gillespie, the local lad. I say local lad, like, he's literally closer in football ability to me than he is his teammates. Like, he's literally, he's a fourth-choice keeper. He's paid to be a laugh at the training ground. A banter merchant, at least he better be. He better be funny, because otherwise, what use is he? Imagine having a boring fourth-choice keeper. I mean, imagine if Scott Carson was at Man City and told no jokes. Literally just came in every day to read a book. I think Rob Green probably did that at Chelsea, to be fair. He looks the type. Looks a bit of a nerd. But no, look, I mean... I just think, how can you have that rule for a final? Which literally cost Newcastle the match, by the way, because I know Karius didn't do that much wrong in the final, but he didn't do much right either. And why not? I mean, his head is scrambled. He was... There should always be some nerves in a team for a cup final, and there was. Amongst most of the Newcastle players that day, but, I mean, it doesn't really help when you've got someone who's literally scared of the football as your last line of defence. And that's what Karius was that day. So I think it's pretty rich how 3 years later, Man City get to put their fresh new toy in the starting lineup, and guess what? He scores. He's the reason Newcastle won't be at the final in March. I just think it's so unfair. And I think it doesn't just stop at Newcastle. This has affected so many clubs in the past where they sign a marquee addition in January and they're not allowed to play him in the Champions League. I mean, I know Liverpool went on to win it in Istanbul anyway, but imagine if they could have called on a Fernando Morientes for the second half of their Champions League run in 2005, but they couldn't, because he came in from Real Madrid mid-season and couldn't pick him. Okay, I know it's actually a bad example because he turned out to be an Anfield flop, but like, I don't know, Jermaine Defoe at Portsmouth. Okay, that's also a bad example because Portsmouth went and won the FA Cup anyway without him. But, I mean, they were squeaking wins in the semi-final and the final against rubbish opposition, like 1-0 against West Brom and Cardiff. But if they had peaked Defoe up front instead of the granddad that was Canoe, they could be winning games 5 or 6-0. I'm sure there's better examples out there of teams who could have won something if they could have just picked their January signing for the cup competition in the second half. But they weren't allowed to, and so didn't, and so botched it. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's many, many examples. Again, Man United couldn't pick Luis Saha for the 2004 FA Cup, right? Again, they won the FA Cup, beating Millwall in the final didn't make a difference. Okay, why am I just getting the bad examples coming to my brain? Right, let's just stick with the Dubravka one then. I mean, how? How can you have a rule where it just punishes Newcastle like that in a final, like the biggest game for 50 years? Yes, 3 years later, Semenyo's allowed to waltz onto the pitch, and guess what, lads? I was sitting in the Newcastle crowd last night, and it didn't seem that anyone around me knew that he played for Sunderland. Am I the only one? Are you going to make me have to boo him on my own? Boo! I know who you played for. No one knew. Literally no one knew around me. No one booed any touch of his. He played for Sunderland. It reminds me of the Champions League game against Dortmund a couple of years ago where Giovanni Reina came on as a sub. No one booed him. He's literally born in Sunderland Hospital. Are you Geordies or not? But look. Semenyo. He shouldn't have been allowed to play this match. I don't know. You tell me, am I being a salty little teddy bear right now, or do I have a point? I think I have a point.
My mum thinks I have a point. She does. I haven't told her. I don't think, I think she'd hang up the phone instantly, to be honest. But I don't know. How can you just delete a good rule like this at the last minute, and for what reason? For what purpose? Why are you allowing Semenyo to play for 2 teams now? And why? It just seems so suspicious that the first team this rule benefits is the one with 115 secret charges against them. Look, I'm not saying Man City are guilty. I'm not like one of those people who are out there screaming 115 over and over again. I get that would be really annoying, okay? I'm not going to... Look, if Man City are found guilty, they're found guilty, but I don't think it takes away from the genius of Pep Guardiola or the quality of their players. It just sort of might mean that you got there quicker. That's all it would mean, really. I mean, because Newcastle are... literally the richest club in the world on paper, but this evolution is going to be slow. Seriously, it's going to be slower than the first Godfather film. Like, it's going to take a while to be able to relax the purse strings and spend some money. But while we're on the subject, I mean, it's a bit rich of me even to say that, because literally £100 million was spent on Ramsey and Elanga. Ramsey looks okay. Not worth the money. Elanga... he looks like he's won a competition to play for Newcastle. He looks like, I would imagine how the actor in goal would have looked like when he joined him in Newcastle training sessions 20 years ago. Like someone who literally can't kick a football. Alanga's confidence is so on the floor right now. I feel sorry for him. Last night, he nearly fell out of play trying to keep the ball in play when there's no one around him. His passes are sloppy. All he has is pace right now because his brain is just not connecting with his feet. Same goes for Wissa. Wissa and Voltemata, 2 strikers who right now are not good enough to play for Newcastle. They're not. I know Brian, off the kickoff, has come out and said that Voltemata is his favourite player to watch since Shearer. But I'm like, really? I actually being serious? Because he wouldn't even be in my top 50. No, in fact, he'd probably be in my most frustrating players to watch. Because last night, he had a chance to nod the ball in to make it 1-1, and the guy is literally taller than most houses. Couldn't connect with the football. And Wissa spurned a glorious chance for the goal, but at least Wissa, I mean, he's just coming back from injury. He's going to be rusty, but Voltemata, I hope these two can come good. I hope. And you know what? I was encouraged by the fact that W&W played together in the FA Cup on Saturday, but I don't know. There just needs to be a real big improvement, I think, from both strikers. Because there's no more Isak money left. This is where the Isak money went, on these 2 Ws. And right now, they're playing like a couple of Ls. It's just poor. It's worrying. I mean, there were strikers out there that Newcastle should have signed. Hugh Ekitike is the big one. He was literally in your lap. All you had to do was just say goodbye to Isak. I know it was difficult. I didn't want to say goodbye to him. But I also don't work behind the scenes at Newcastle, and I didn't know how secretly miserable he was, and apparently has been for months. So I would have sold Isak in July and brought in Ekitike. João Pedro was another one who the club were trying to get. Other targets, I wouldn't be too enthused by, like Liam Delap. Nah, Benjamin Šeško, no thanks. But Voltemata, right now I'm at a stage where I'm also no thanks. But look, yeah, I'm not really sure what this was. It was just a bit of a rant about last night. I just needed to vomit my feelings out there, which is kind of what this channel is. It's kind of like a diary, right? Or something more manly than that. Am I man? No. Anyway, right, that was weird. Look, that was the end of the video. Yeah, I probably did sound like a salty little lobster, but let me know in the comments. All right, let me know. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, I'll waffle you in a while.